Hello students, myself Dr. Ghanesham Chauhan. Today we have presentation in prevention and control of Ebola disease. This is the part of final year B.Pharm of the subject social and preventive pharmacy. So students, in this today's presentation we will discuss about the Ebola virus, how this Ebola virus has been developed and in which part it has been developed. As you can see, what are the various symptoms, that all these things, all these aspects we will discuss in this chapter. First of all, Ebola virus. This is the type of flavivirus. In this today's presentation we will discuss about the designs, signs, symptoms, transmission of Ebola virus. For example, the transmission by sweat, saliva, means various body fluids, and feces and the breast milk, various body fluids like urine, semen and vaginal secretions, etc. List of preventive and control measures. So what are the various measures that we can take to prevent this disease? By keeping the safe distance from the patients, or by taking any prophylactic medicines, or by using the PPE kits. So like that, describe the main public health concern during the Ebola disease outbreak. So what are the various main public health concern that we should discuss, means what are the various symptoms, how it will affect, and how we can stop the transmissions, by how it occurs by various ways. So what prevention we can take to avoid this transmission, to avoid this chain. So that all things we can do in this today's presentation. Ebola disease. Ebola disease is a severe, often fatal illness in the humans. In 2014-16, it have taken almost 11,000 lives all over the world, and it was become one of the leading cause of death in that period, especially in the African areas. So in that areas, once you have that disease, there is almost 50% chance to have a fatal, means the person will die. Out of 100, 50% will die due to that disease, and almost 10 days, only 10 days are required to kill that person, which means within 10 days person will die. Incubation period is almost 21 days. The virus is transmitted to the people from wild animals and then spread in the human population through human to human transmissions. Means it is a zoonotic disease, means it can be transferred from animal to the human being, and again it will transfer from human being to human being. It has been transferred firstly from the bat, mostly from the fruit bats, means the bats who will eat the fruit, and from that it has been transferred to the another animals, and from that animals it has been transferred to the human being. So, and this is the one type of the flavivirus, and its order is, it is the mono order. The average Ebola cases fatality rate is about 50%, means almost 50% people have died. Means once they got the infection, they had been diagnosed positive, so out of them 50% people have lost their life. Early supportive care with rehydration, symptomatic treatment improves survivals. If you will give the supportive treatments like rehydration or symptomatic treatments, so it will improve the survival. But at that period, no any perfect drug has been occurred. 5 species of Ebola virus have been identified. Among them, these 3: Bundi Bungyo Ebola virus, Zaire Ebola virus. Zaire is the typical name of that virus, which has been given name by the Zaire river, which has occurred near that 3 countries like Guinea, Sierra Leone, that African countries. In that this Zaire river was there, and earlier this Ebola virus is also a new name given to that virus. So Zaire Ebola virus and Sudan Ebola virus. So these are the 3 basic types which has been occurred in that typical areas. Another 2 type was not that much common, which they had been associated with the large outbreak in Africa, and it is thanks to God that this disease has been occupied only up to the that Saharan or sub-Saharan countries. It not has been captured all the population of all the worlds like this pandemic coronavirus. Now here you can see this is the geographical distribution of this Ebola virus. Ebola virus disease was identified in two simultaneous outbreak. In 1960 also it has been occurred. One in South Sudan and one in the Democratic people of Congo. Since 1976, 25 Ebola outbreaks occurred mostly in the Central Africa. This is the area which has been taken. So this is the African sub-African countries, after that Asian countries up to this Australia. So in this area and also in sub areas of European countries and also in US. So these are the very area where it has been spread. The 2014 to 16 Ebola outbreak in West Africa was the largest and the most complex one. Now this is the specific area where it has been spread. So 1 to 5 total cases, and according to the color, according to their intensity of color, the number of patients has been increased. So it has been increased mostly in the Sierra Leone countries. So it is the mostly affected country out of this Africa. After that this Liberia, and after Liberia Guinea. So these are the specific three countries which has been affected mostly out of all over the world. So in this Sierra Leone we have got the maximum numbers of patients, whereas in this Liberia we got the maximum numbers of liabilities. Here you can see this is the graph. So this is the graph of the Guinea, and this is the graph of the Liberia, this one, and this is the graph of the Sierra Leone. So the Sierra Leone is having the maximum number of patients, whereas this is at the second number, this Liberia, and this Guinea at the third number. Now by this chart you will come to know, you will understand how many numbers of patients has been reported, and how many cases has been recorded, and how many death has been occurred. What is the mortality rate of which country, that we can understand here. So Guinea, so confirmed cases was 3,300 and death 2,500. Sierra Leone is having maximum number of confirmed cases 8,700, whereas the casualties was 3,900. And this is the third country, Liberia, which is also having the maximum number of deaths. So the confirmed cases was 3,100, and it is at the third number in confirmed cases, and it is at the first number for the deaths. So death was 4,800. So maximum number of patients, people has been died in this country, Liberia, and Sierra Leone is at the second number, and the Guinea is at the third number. And the total number of people has been died due to this Ebola virus was 11,300. Means some cases in Nigeria, some in United States, and this Mali. So all over the world 11,000. So thank God it has been not spread all over the world. It has been spread only to the stipulated area, only up to this 3-4 countries it has been spread. Now we will discuss regarding the Ebola virus transmission, how its transmission has been occurred. So it has been transmitted by these 5 different steps. So try to understand how it has been transferred, from which sources which has been transferred. As we know, this Ebola, our COVID-19, the coronavirus has been transmitted by the bats. So here also this Ebola virus also has been transmitted by the bats. So especially it is the fruit bats, means fruit eating bats, they has been transferred. They are the major reservoir for this Ebola virus. So the virus maintain itself in the fruit bats, and after that they has been transferred that virus toward the various animals like apes, chimpanzee, monkeys and the antelopes and the hawks. So like this, they has been transferred from bat to the different 4 animals, and from these 4 animals they has been transferred to the human beings. So epizootics in animals means from animal to animals. Epizootics, affected fruit bats enter in direct or indirect contact with the other animals and pass on the infections, means from this animal, means bats, to the other animal, they are transferring these infections. Large scale epidemic in primates or mammals, for example forest antelopes, can happen, means mostly they has been transferred toward these antelopes. These antelopes has been again killed by this and these human beings. Now next, primary human transmission. The human are affected either through handling infected dead or sick animals found in the forest or frequents. So when they are handling the sick animals like monkeys or these antelopes, so they can be transfer that infection from animal to the human being, or through direct contact with the infected bats or any other animals. So either by bats or by other these animals, they will transfer their infection to the human being. Zoonotic transmission. Now fourth, secondary human transmission. Secondary human to human transmission means from one person to the another person. This is very dangerous stage, person to person transmissions. So it occurs through the direct contact with the blood secretions or the other body fluids, organ or other body fluids of the infected persons, means either by body fluids or by direct contact with the bloods. So they will transfer, means by the sexual transmissions, by the saliva transmission, by tears transmissions, by direct contact with the blood or that wound which has been come in contact with the another person, or their excreta, whatever the waste material is there. So through that also, if that can be contaminated with the water and that water can be taken by the another person, so they will transmit from that source also. High transmission risk when provided direct patient care or handling dead bodies, mostly at the funeral functions, means person will die and we are doing that funeral function. So during that, when we are touching to the body of that patients, and due to that also they can transfer that transmission from that dead body toward the human being who is live. And the last one is viral persistence. Persist of Ebola virus in body fluids of Ebola virus disease survives present at the risk for sexual transmissions, means they can also transfer from by the sexual ways, when that infected person will transfer that virus from one person to the another person by sexual ways. So in this fashion it will transfer from one person to the another person, and very fastly it will transfer. And also mostly these 10% healthcare workers also get affected and they has been died. Almost 3,500 health workers have lost their life in this Ebola virus treatment. That is also very worst thing in all over the world. Now clinical features of Ebola disease. The incubation period is 2 to 21 days, means 21 days is the incubation period, means up to 21 days if you didn't get any infection, then and then you are negative. Otherwise if your test is showing negative, but up to 21 days only you should be ensured. Within 21 days you can spread that infections. Like this COVID-19 it is 14 days. Within 14 days you can spread that infections. Humans are not infectious until they develop symptoms. So that is the plus points, means once they will develop the symptoms, it will be easy to spread that infection from one person to the another person. Initial symptoms are sudden onset of fever and fatigue, muscle pain, headache and sore throat. Sore throat also one of the infections, usually followed by the vomiting. Excessive vomiting occurs. Diarrhea, watery stool is there and persistent diarrhea occurs. rash, skin becomes very dry, rash occurs. Impaired kidney, because lots of that load, means lots of body fluid has been thrown by vomiting and diarrhea, due to which lots of kidney load will be there, so kidney will be impaired. Because lots of load will be there, the volume has been decreased, and the liver function also going to be collapsed. Spontaneous bleeding is there internally and externally in some cases. The bleeding also is one of the excessive cause of death. And other symptoms which includes fever, weakness, muscle pain, headache and sore throat, followed by the vomiting, diarrhea and bleeding. And temperature is above 38 degrees Celsius, means 100.4 degree Fahrenheit. Now the symptoms, if you will see, from the day 1 to the day 9, so up to the day 9 the person can die, means there are the case, this is a CFR rate, so case death rate is 50 to 90%, means case fatal rate. So here the symptoms which you can see, in that fever, severe headache, myalgia. What is myalgia? When there is pain in the muscles, extreme fatigue and conjunctival infection is there. Now if we will go for the next few days, means after 3-4 days, severe sore throat will occur, just like COVID-19. Chest and abdominal pain will occur, means lots of pain is there in your abdomen, and person will start to do vomiting, and diarrhea also will be there, skin rash and diarrhea and vomiting. And after again few days it will develop into the hemorrhage, which is very worst thing. It is very worst step of these infections. So at the 7th day it will start to do hemorrhage, means bleeding will occur. Hiccups, means there is cramp, there is spasm into our diaphragm, means diaphragm will show lots of spasm, and due to which the vomiting will occur. And somnolence will be there, means person will like to do the more and more sleep, means person becomes completely sleepy. He don't want to stand, or he don't want to be conscious. He will like to do the sleep for maximum period. Delirium, means person becomes in a state of delirium, when he will become mentally calm and quiet. And finally person will go into the coma. This is the final stage. And lastly, in 50 to 90% the fatal condition will be attained up to the 9 to 10 days. So within 10 days your game is over. This is a very dangerous condition. No more days are required. If you won't do a proper treatment, person will lose his life. So at that period, that's why people have lost their life within 10 days. It was very dangerous conditions, and there is no comeback. Once you cross these levels, once the hemorrhage will start, means nobody will protect you, you can't survive. Now clinical manifestation by organ system in the West African outbreaks. So these are the according to the organs, according to the systems, how it will affects. So in general, fever in 87%, fatigue will occur in 76%, arthralgia 39%, myalgia in 39%. Now neuralgic effects, in that it can be accompanied by headache 53%, confusion 13%, eye pain 8%, and coma 6%. Cardiovascular, chest pain in 37%, pulmonary, cough in 30%. Dyspnea means there is difficulty in breathing, means lots of problem is there in breathing, it occurs in 23%. Sore throat means you are having pain into the throat and sore throat will occur, it is 22%. Hiccup 11%. Gastrointestinal, vomiting 68%, it is very worst thing, continuously vomiting occurs. Diarrhea also 66%. These are the both two dangerous things, due to which person will completely collapse. And anorexia, it is also 65%, you won't like to eat or drink anything. Abdominal pain 44%. Dysphagia, what is dysphagia? Difficulty in swallowing, person is having lots of pain when he will start to do swallowing anything. He will try to eat anything. He will try to open his mouth to eating anything. Jaundice is 10%. Hematological, any unexplained bleeding is 18%. Melena or hematosia, it is 4%. Hematemesis means when we are doing vomiting, at that time blood will comes into your vomiting along with your mucus, so it is 4%. Vaginal bleeding means from vagina bleeding will occurs. Gingival bleeding, it is 2%. From the gums bleeding will be there. Hemoptysis means through the nose also bleeding will be there. Epistaxis, again through the nose. Bleeding at the infection sites. Hematuria means through the urine also bleeding will occurs. Petechial ecchymosis, so it is 1%. And integumentary conjunctivitis 21%, rash 6%. Means here you can see it will occupy almost all the systems: cardiovascular, pulmonary, neurological, GIT, hematological, integumentary, all system it will cover. That's why it was very dangerous disease. Here you can see these are the various conditions, various symptoms that you can see by your naked eyes. Here through gums lots of bleeding will be there. Here bleeding is there. And here it is a hematemesis, means when person is doing the vomiting, at a time during vomiting the blood occurs along with the material whatever he is do vomiting, along with the mucus you will see the blood is there, lots of bleeding is there. And bleeding at the IV side, when we are giving the drug through IV, so during that site also lots of bleeding will occurs. Means there will be not stoppage of bleeding occurs, means no hemostasis is there, no platelet aggregation occurs. Now the symptoms are non-specific. Clinical diagnosis may be difficult. So in the diagnosis of this Ebola virus, the differential diagnosis includes other viral hemorrhagic fevers. Hemorrhagic fevers is there. Yellow fever, malaria, typhoid fever, shigellosis, and other viral and bacterial diseases. Patient history is essential and should include contact with the dead or sick animal. So when you are doing contact with the dead or sick animal, it will produce that infections. Contact with the suspected or probable or confirmed Ebola patients. So when we are in touch with the patients who was not positive earlier but he become positive afterwards, so it is suspected patients. And the patient who is positive but you don't know he is positive, he is having that having that symptoms, so it is the confirmed Ebola patient. So from these people the infection can be transmitted. Ebola disease laboratory diagnosis. Definitive diagnosis requires testing. So reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, RT-PCR. So this is the confirmatory test for Ebola virus, and this is also utilized in case of this COVID-19, this coronavirus infections. RT-PCR, it is a CT. IgG and IgM antibodies with enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, ELISA, antigen detection test. This is also one of the rapid tests which these people are doing for COVID-19 also. So this is also one of the tests which has been used for this Ebola virus infections. Virus isolation by cell culture. By cell culture also you can do this identification. The list of diagnostic approved by emergency use assessment and listing procedure by WHO is available here. Handling and processing specimen requires suitably equipped laboratory under maximum biological containment conditions, and staff collecting sample should be trained. Means the staff which are doing or which are handling these patients, they should be well trained and they should be well equipped. They should have all the apparatus along with them. Laboratory findings. So there are the laboratory findings. Additional laboratory findings means these patients are having these reports, so there are also additional points by which we can confirm that this patient is having these Ebola virus infections. So thrombocytopenia, it is 50,000 to 1 lakh ml per range. So this is also one of the cause of bleeding, hemorrhagic. So for a hemorrhagia, this is one of the symptom. Thrombocytopenia means a decrease in the size of, in the range of platelets. Platelets will be decreased. Leukopenia followed by the neutrophilia. Means there is also decreased amount of leukocytes and neutrophils. Transmission, transaminase elevation serum aspartame aminotransferase AST, alanine transferase ALT. So there is elevation in both the types of parameters. Electrolyte abnormalities from fluid shifts, because lots of blood, lots of mucus, lots of feces, lots of water has been thrown or has been wasted from the body, due to which the electrolytes has been declined. Coagulation, this prothrombin time and PTT has been prolonged. Renal, the proteinuria and increased creatinine, means protein is wasted into your urine and also increase creatinine into your urine. So there are the various marking which has been used for diagnosis of this Ebola virus infections. Now Ebola disease treatment. So in the treatment, first of all you have to keep the patient into the intensive units where you are having all the facilities like fluid electrolytes, drug therapy and all the facilities. Early aggressive intensive care supports, monitor fluid and electrolyte balance and renal functions, blood pressures, oxygenations and careful rehydrations. Means your lab should be equipped with all these facilities like renal function, means for dialysis also you should ready. For blood function, blood pressure, continuous blood pressure checking should be there. Oxygenation means you should have the ventilator or oxygen cylinder should be equipped with your labs, and careful rehydrations, continuous electrolytes or blood you should give. Supportive drug therapy includes painkillers, but try to understand, don't use NSAID like aspirin, because what they will do, they will increase the chances of bleeding. That's why don't use the NSAID like aspirin. Antiemetic for vomiting, because you have to use the drugs symptomatically, means vomiting occurs here, so use the antiemetics to avoid the emesis, like chlorpromazine also you can use to avoid the emesis. Anxiolytics for agitations, lots of agitation occurs, so you can use the anxiolytic drugs like SSRI drugs or the drugs like zolpidem. So benzodiazepine drugs which you can use in these treatments. And also antibiotics, the antibiotics like azithromycin or doxycycline or tetracycline which you can use in this treatment. And the antimalarial drugs also you can use sometimes like chloroquine. And psychosocial supports and the services which are required here. And the antiviral drugs also you should use like flavinavir or remdesivir, which is currently used in the treatments of COVID-19. Now this is the key components for Ebola control. How should you control this Ebola virus? So national leaderships means prime minister, this is the head of your country. First what he will do, he should do the case investigation, means you have to identify, you should increase the number of testing, how many patients we have, you should know the exact number of cases which is available into your country. After that, care for sick people, the people who are come positive, they are reported positive, you should care them, you should give them proper treatment, avoid the death, avoid the fatal rate. And this is last and the important things, preventive measures in the communities and the healthcare settings. So we should try to improve the chances of prevention, try to decrease the rate of transmission, try to make the aware people regarding the disease, tell them regarding the symptoms, tell them to early diagnosis of that condition, and start to do the symptomatic treatment or to take a prophylactic medicine or prophylactic treatment to avoid that symptom, to avoid that viral load into our body. So that is very important. Preventive measures are very important. So it is a major role of our today's lecture, today's presentation. Now try to understand. This is the chart which you should go, you should understand, you should read, you should study this. So there are general strategies to control this EVD. So this is the summary for your prevention. How can you do, how can you tackle this? So in that, first is conduct social and cultural assessments. So you should take some programs in which the people will aware regarding this disease. So conduct the social and cultural assessment, tell them regarding the disease, make them aware by any ways, by TV programs, by news channels, by newspapers, by any ways. Control social and cultural assessments, tell them regarding the disease. Engage with key influences, women and youth associations, traditional healers, local authorities, religious and opinion leaders. Means you should engage the various influence factors. Means there are various grouping occurs in the peoples. So whether it is cultural grouping or a religious grouping or any traditional grouping or any communal grouping is there, or social grouping is there, or any by social or by the caste or tribes community is there. So their grouping is there. So take the help of them, let them teach regarding, or let them aware regarding the disease. So let them tell regarding the treatment, their importance, their transmissions, and how can we prevent this disease, tell them. So formal and informal communications, that is also very important. Address community concerns. So you should tell all the community, all the peoples. So you should address any community concerns by taking the programs or taking the interviews and put it on the social media also. That also you can do in this regard. Security and police. So always you should use our security, means our structure you should use, our government you should use. So our this settlement or our the structure you should use to prevent the people from getting transmissions. For example, in this lockdown also we are using these people like police and the securities to protect the people to get infections. Lodging and foods. So you should give the food to the people who are having get infected. Also give them special lodging. We should isolate them properly and give them proper foods. Social and epidemiological mobile teams. So various these teams we should prepare, which are helping those peoples who are helping to identify the various symptoms, to identify the peoples who are getting infection, and to do the various functions regarding their protection, regarding their treatment, regarding their movement, regarding their carrying from one place to the another place, arrangement of the ambulance to go for the isolation department, to do the treatments, to arrangement of various drugs, arrangement of the oxygen, arrangement of the various things which they require, arrangement of foods, sanitations, and finance salaries, and transport the vehicles. So these are the behavioral and social interventions. These are the logistics. Here the media also get involved. They are having major role to make people aware regarding this disease. Psychosocial supports is also very important. Clinical case managements. How can we tackle that patients? So in that, trench in and out. Barrier nursing. If any barrier is there in nursing, you should improve, you should try to decrease that barrier. Infection control, how we can protect ourselves, our team, how we can protect our medical team, so to avoid them from the infections. Organize funeral and clinical trials. Ethical committee. So by this we can do the clinical case managements. And ethical aspects, expanding assess Ebola vaccines implementation team, So lots of research worker were doing their functions into the development of this Ebola virus vaccines. Epidemiological investigation and surveillance and laboratories, in that active case finding, that is very important. So the patients who are active, who are positive, we should find them by the symptoms, and we should do their testing. After that, follow up the contacts, we should follow through which they has been contacted, the person who are in come in contact with those patients. So you should find out their contact list, and we should do their testing. We should isolate them immediately and keep them at the another place, and take their specimens to for testing. Laboratory testing is very important, and after that we can find out their numbers whether they are positive or negative. Database analysis and search for the sources, how they has been identified, how they has been got positive. So search for the sources. So all this program, just like the COVID-19 which we are implementing right now, so the same program which has been implemented for this Ebola virus also. Community engagement and awareness. Engage with the communities to promote desired health practices and behaviors, particularly on the caring for sick or diseased persons. So you should engage with, promote the health practices and behaviors, especially who is having that infections. We should go and we should tackle that persons, and we should tell them how, what precaution they should take, how they can isolate themselves from the others, and what drugs, what type of symptom they are having, and what food, and how can they take care from themselves. Provide accurate and timely health advices. That health advices is very important. And information on the disease, means you should make them aware regarding the seriousness of the disease. Means if they are at the primary stage, you should immediately intimate them, you should immediately tell them how it will progress and what will be the next symptoms, and how you should protect yourself, what drugs you should take, how you should take the electrolyte balance, how you should increase that balance, how you should maintain your physicals and mental status, that is also very important. How you should isolate from the others, from your family members, so that they should not be get infected from yourself. So in this fashion you should do the communication with the peoples who are getting infected. Reducing wildlife to the human transmission, that is very important, because this is the zoonotic transmission, means from animal to the human being it has been transferred. That's why we should try to stop this killing. It is unethical, because if we will become barrier between the nature and you, definitely nature will also show its effects. So that's why you should not kill this animal unnecessarily and unethically for only your betterment. So reducing the risk of wildlife to the human transmissions from contact with the infected food, bats or monkeys, apes, and the consumption of their raw meats. Because you know, lots of disease has been transferred from the animals only, like tuberculosis or HIV or shingles, mumps, measles. Lots of diseases are there. There are very huge list. So this disease can be transferred from the animals to the human being. So animals should be handled with gloves and other appropriate protective clothing. Means you should protect yourself from infection, from transmissions. Animal products, blood and meat should be thoroughly cooked before consumption. That is very important. One should thoroughly cook that, otherwise they should not eat them. Reducing human to human transmissions. So in early slide we have discussed from animal to human transmission. So here, how can we prevent human to human transmissions? Reducing the risk of human to human transmission from direct or close contacts, means people who are in close contact with that patients who have infected with that disease. So we should identify their close contact and isolate them immediately. So close contact with the people with the Ebola symptoms, particularly with their bodily fluids. So immediately we should take their body fluids, we should take their samples for testing. Gloves and appropriate personal protective equipments, PPE kit is very important. when you are handling with these patients should be worn when taking any care of ill patients at home. Means at home also, if you are taking care of that patient, you should use this PPE kit. Regular handling washing is required after visiting patient in hospitals as well as after taking care of patient at home. Organize safe and dignified burials for people who may have died of Ebola virus disease. Means you should protect yourself when you are doing the funeral program, when you are burying that person, or best way, you should ignite them, you should fire that Ebola infected person, dead person. That is the best thing. Or you should take them very safely when you are doing this funeral functions. Reducing possible sexual transmissions. Reducing the risk of possible sexual transmission, WHO recommended that male survivors of Ebola virus disease practice safer sex. Means they should use the protection like condoms and hygiene for 12 days, or they should be abstinence, means they should not do any sexual intercourse with their life partners from the onset of symptoms or until their semen test negative twice for Ebola virus. Means they should avoid their sexual contacts with their relatives up to what period? Till they will get their this semen sample negative for 2 months. Means now they should do the test. If it is negative, again for 1 month it should be negative, and for 3rd month also it should be negative. Then and then they are free to do their activities regularly. So in this fashion we should avoid this sexual transmission from one person to the another person. Now, controlling infection in healthcare settings. Implement standard precautions with all patients regardless of their diagnosis in all work practices at all times, including safe infection practice. So safe injection practice you should do. Healthcare workers treating patients with Ebola virus disease should apply extra infection control measures to prevent contact with the patient's blood and body fluids and contaminated surfaces or materials such as clothing and bedding. So you should take the extra precaution when we are handling with the infected patients. So they should not touch directly with the blood or body fluids, or they should use the clothing, or they should use the PPE kit, they should use the gloves, they should use the mask, they should use the PPE kit to protect their bodies from the blood or from the body fluids of that infected patients. Laboratory workers are also at risk because they are taking the samples, they are in touch with the samples, so they are also at the great risk. Sample taken from the suspected Ebola virus disease cases for diagnosis should be handled very carefully because they can produce the infection to them also, and they should be handled by the trained staff, and they should be processed with the suitably equipped laboratories, and the person also who are handling that samples, they should use proper gloves, they should use proper glasses, PPE kits, they should use the mask. Means all the facilities, all the precautionary measure they should take when they are handling these samples. That is very important. Now, key challenges for Ebola virus disease. It is difficult to diagnose patients based on the clinical presentations. That's why it is difficult to diagnose. Stopping all chain transmissions. So we should stop the chain. As in COVID-19 also, we should stop the chain. That's why the government is announced for the lockdown. So we should stop the chain of the transmissions. Means from person to person transmission you should stop, and also from animal to human being transmissions. You should try to make the distancing from one person to the another person. You should not directly come in touch with the patients as well as with the another peoples. Engage timely with the communities. So you should teach the communities, we should tell them information regarding the DCS, let them aware with the DCS. Now Ebola research and development, this is very important. So rapid antigen test and nucleic acid test, these US FDA and WHO approved for emergency use. So the rapid antigen test has been developed for this Ebola virus, in which we are getting the report within a few minutes only. Therapeutic trials, medicines and blood products. So ZMAP randomized control trial estimated effect of appeared to be beneficial. Favipiravir, so it is one of the drug which has been given very good results in case of Ebola virus treatments, and these drugs has been decrease the viral load in 2200 patients. And also there is another drug like remdesivir and also flavivir. So they are the drugs which have shown very good results into the treatment of Ebola virus disease. Vaccines trial implementation in Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone. So experimented assess proposed during this Liketi outbreak DRC 2017, means the discovery of this vaccine has been started there, but still till date we didn't get any vaccine not has been discovered yet, means still it is under the discovery, it is under the trial. We are in search of that vaccine, but nowadays there is no requirement of vaccine because already that disease has been completely cured by these drugs like flapiravir or remdesivir or flavinavir. So students, in this fashion we have covered today's session. I hope you have understood all this chapter. If you have any queries, you can consult with me. Thanks a lot for hearing me. Bye.